Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Erev Rosh Hashanah is but a week away, and as the holidays approach, this also means that we inch closer and closer to completing our cycle of Torah reading. And after this week's parsha of Nitzvaim, Vayelech, we will only have two more parshiot, them being Ha'azinu and Vizot HaBracha. This week's parsha is filled with so much to dive into, from the people being assembled and reaffirming their covenant between them and God, from the warning about falling into idolatrous habits from surrounding nations, to the foreshadowing of their exile from the land of Israel, but also it discusses their return to the land after they make a sort of tshuva, or acts of repentance with God. And lastly, the idea that we were granted free will and that we should choose actions that lead to life and good in the world. Yet, I want to focus on Moses for this drash. Mentioned here in the parsha is that Moses is 120 years old. Moses then informs the people that he will not be permitted to enter the land of Israel, and that it will be Joshua who leads them in. Chapter 31, verse 2 reads, Vayomer aleichem ben mea ve'esrim shana anochi chayom, velo uchal od latset ulavo, v'Adonai amar elai, Lo ta'avor et hayarden hazeh. And in the English, he said to them, I am now 120 years old. I can no longer go or come. And moreover, the Lord has said to me, you shall not cross over the Jordan. As I was teaching the Parsha this week in my Zoom class, the question was brought up, well, did the people know that he was not going into the land? Or was this sort of a surprise? From the text, it seems to suggest this might have been new information for the nation of Israel. This might be hard for us to imagine, but we have to remember we were privy to the information when God first gave out the punishment. In looking at this verse further, I understand even more now why one of my participants brought up this question. The text provides us with no shock or outrage that the fearless leader of the past 40 years will not be with them. Perhaps this is because in verse 3, Moses reassures them that God will be with them, but still no emotion at all. I turn to my usual suspect of commentators, Rashi, Ibn Ezra, Sforno, and Rambam. And I found nothing about this. The closest thing that even comments on the issue peripherally is Ibn Ezra saying that the people could see Moses and that he was aging, and they were not sad because he had lived such a long life. So there was no shock that he would not be passing into the land. Yet I gleaned something else. Perhaps this people, a people who were descendants of slaves and descendants of people who were wiped out during their desert expedition, came to the conclusion that nothing is guaranteed. And that includes the next day of your life. It does not matter if you are a priest, a Levite, a normal Israelite, or even if you are Moses. We do not get to control our life entirely, and therefore they were not shocked by him not being allowed into the land. I bring this up, this idea of guarantees, because I cannot help but think about what happened 19 years ago today. The day that the American life and assumption of safety and tranquility was rocked with the reality of the attacks at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the crash in Pennsylvania. That day seemed like a normal day for all of us, and for those going to work in New York. A day, perhaps, that they felt was guaranteed to them. Unfortunately, as we all know, it was not. Every year on this date, we are told as Americans to never forget. Never forget the loss of all those innocent people and the first responders who rushed in doing their job, but never came out. Never forget that no day in our life is guaranteed, and also to remember that it's a precious gift that was given to us. Nothing is guaranteed. So take the time to appreciate the world and wonders while we can. I hope that as we enter into Shabbat this week, we look to all of those precious gifts that we have in our lives, and we learn to remember that nothing is guaranteed, and that this is highlighted in this week's Parsha. I want to end with a poem of sorts that I came across several years ago, written by school children 1 year after 9/11. But before I do, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the first responders from that horrendous day of 9/11 and all of our current first responders for being the ones who would rush in to save us. Now, a poem written by New York school children 1 year after 9/11, whose teacher had lost a relative on that tragic day. We were 8. Before September 11th, we would wake up with a list of do not forgets. Do not forget to wash your face. Do not forget to brush your teeth. Do not forget to do your homework. Do not forget to wear your jacket. And do not forget to clean your room. After September 11th, we wake up with a list of remembers. Remember to greet the sun each morning. Remember to enjoy every meal. Remember to thank your parents for their hard work. Remember to honor those who keep you safe. Remember to value each person you meet. Remember to respect others' beliefs. And now we are 9. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. May we always remember that each day is a blessing. I wish you a peaceful, a restful, but most importantly, a meaningful Shabbat.